Welcome back to Cheche. Today's guest is the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamalwa. And we're talking about access to clean and safe water. And before the break, Mr. Wamalwa, you told us that the Jubilee government had made some progress. But these are some of the Vision 2030 targets we had for 2015, and that was last year. 80% access to safe and reliable water for urban areas. 75% access to safe and reliable water for rural areas, reducing levels of unaccounted for water to below 30%, and over 70% access to safe sanitation for urban and rural households, 40 and 10% sewerage access for urban and rural areas. We haven't achieved that, have we?
Noted. Currently, we are at 65% for urban in terms of access. Rural, we are at about 42%. But sewerage, we are still below target, and we are at about 22%. But we want to assure Kenyans that we are working hard to ensure we increase access. And one of the strategies, as I've said, is through developing more storage. Another strategy is to exploit more the groundwater that has not been exploited until we discovered the aquifers in Napu and Lotikipi. And we believe in future also we will need to see how we can embrace technology, including desalination. We have the longest coastline from Vanga to Kiunga that is totally unexploited. But as we speak, we have the Japanese who have come in and signed an MOU with the county government of Mombasa, Toyota Susho, to start desalination. We also have an American company, Vuna Bahari, that is looking at Lamu. As we develop the LAPSET project, we will need a lot of water in Lamu. So through desalination, we can, excuse me, we can actually boost the water supply right from the ocean, and we do not have to pump it very far away. So these are some of the areas we're looking at, and we are sure that we will be able to meet our targets.
But Mutegi, you were unimpressed.
I was talking about you building dams.
Yes.
And we know, first of all, environment. The water towers have been ruined. If you look at Mount Kenya, if you look at when you went to Meru, those rivers you are seeing there, you are naming them. These used to be huge rivers. But now they have gone trickling because there is no, Mount Kenya's forest has been spoiled, has been ruined.
Yes.
So the dam down there, Seven Forks, they are full of silt. And we're building more dams on the same side. And we were talking about, to me, a lot of people think that you're building dams not because of water, just because there's a big project, money will be made. Just the same way Jubilee people think about Jubilee. Big project, big money to yourselves.
I think maybe what has raised some concerns is really the 5 mega dams, the Vision 2030 mega dams, and these were Maruba in Machakos, we have Chemususu in Baringo, we have Kiserian here in Kajiado, and Uma Dam in Kitui, and Badasa in Marsabit. Of the 3, only Maruba was commissioned and is working. Actually, we are already distributing water to Machakos. But Kiserian was commissioned. We commissioned it last year, and Chemususu we commissioned last week when we went there with His Excellency the President. So what we are doing now, Mtegi, is really putting more towards distribution, because these dams have been built, but people are not enjoying the water. The water cannot be enjoyed without treatment. So we are putting in over 3 billion in Chemususu, where we're putting a treatment plant that His Excellency commissioned, and we are also putting piping to ensure we distribute water from Chemususu. It will go to Mogotio, we'll take to Eldama Ravine, and other towns that are nearby. We know that when we are looking at Kajiado County is a water-stressed county, but Kiserian has not been able to benefit because of the distribution, lack of distribution. But where we are now, we are putting in 1.2 billion to ensure we distribute the Kiserian water, first of all to Kiserian itself, then Ongata Rongai. Ongata Rongai population is growing. So with the 1.2 billion, we believe a lot of people are going to access that water. And similarly, Maruba, we are doing the same. But the remaining 2 dams, we had legal challenges. And we want to assure the people of Kitui that we are almost concluding the cases, and we want Uma Dam to be completed. It will benefit about 80,000 people in Kitui. Badassa will serve about 50,000 in Marsabit County. So once we complete those two, at least Kenyans will say this is value for money.
What is the Lagos challenge in Kitui?
In Kitui, the contractor had issues, and there was termination. The matter went to court, but we are at the tail end of that matter. Badassa has just been concluded, so we are looking at how we can then get back to the ground. So we look forward to going back to Marsabit and to Kitui to complete those two dams. And once they're completed, we want to allocate enough money to ensure distribution to the beneficiaries, so that we don't take as long as we did with Chemosusu, we don't take as long as we did with Kiserian. So we are going to ensure you enjoy that water.
What about the availability of water because of depletion of the water towers?
The water tower situation is quite serious. In fact,
so why build dams if there's no water?
No, there is water, but what the challenges we are facing are twofold. We have the challenge of climate change, we have the challenge of population growth and encroachment on our water towers, water catchment areas. Yeah. So we are dealing with it. We have the Water Towers Agency, and we also have NEMA and WARMA. Through these agencies, we are trying to ensure that the encroachment is dealt with, so that we conserve our water towers for this generation and generations to come. It is true the Mount Kenya region had a lot of water, but those rivers now, whether it is the Ngidu River or Dangada, they have actually been, or Tuchi, they have been obstructed almost to the limit. Yeah. That is why we're saying we can no longer talk of further obstruction. We have to talk of damming them so that we are able to store. The water does not run off. It is stored, then utilized for irrigation and for domestic use. That's why we're suggesting all these dams, and by 2020, when most of them are done, the storage would more than double.
When are we going to restore riparian areas? Because when I was growing up, it was against the chief's order. You could not go and plant bananas or plant maize. 30 feet from wherever. Yes. I think that time it was feet. There were no meters there. 30 feet from the river bed, yes. You could not plant there. It was grass. It was natural the way it was. The way God created it. That is finished with land consolidation and the surveys of land. My land is up to the river. When I'm going to store that? That is salvation.
Mutegi, you are right, because actually it started with the colonialists. The colonialists were very strict. They could not allow 30 feet or meters, like you say, around the rivers. Now, because of the...
Why can't rivers allow us to stop that?
Well, I think what we need to do is to strengthen legislation around there. The challenge of population growth is actually leading to some of these issues. But working with the county governments, I think we need to save our rivers. We must reinforce our legislation and stricter management of our riparian areas, of our catchment areas, and our water towers. This we must do. Yes.
When you came into this position, you said that your top priority would be the Galana Kulalu irrigation scheme, right?
Correct.
Where are we on that?
We have made quite some progress, but when I walked in, really the Galana issue was the elephant in the room. We have over the last 5 months been able to visit it 3 times. The main concern was that too much money was being put in to produce very little, and it looked like it was a scandal of sorts.
That is what I'm telling you.
Like we take it, anything big smells of a scandal. But what we did,
stinks of scandal.
Yes. When I came in, we relooked at the whole concept, and we had quite a bit that was not essential to irrigation. And
which is what?
We had a milling component that was over 3 billion. We were supposed to put a huge milling plant there that would have just operation and maintenance of almost another 1 billion. So we said what we want to do is create a model farm that can attract investors to come to this barren land that had produced nothing and see what they can produce. We've done the research, the soil tests, we've developed the infrastructure, and what we need is a model farm. After that, let the private sector come in. And we cannot, as government, ourselves do business, the business of milling. You remember we tried that milling corporation, and it was a failed experiment. So my position was that we cannot go down the same road and end up with the same results. Let us allow private sector to do the milling, and it's not the business of government to do business. So with that, we have been able to review the roadmap to completion of Galana. We were able to knock off half the contract that had nothing to do with irrigation, and we have brought it down to about 7.2 billion, and we have also fast-tracked the completion to September. But during our visit to Israel, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, expressed interest to visit Kenya and Uganda. And when he does, we would like him to also visit Galana. And we're looking at fast-tracking to complete by July, by the time he visits. Once we do that, we are then going to open up that over 500,000 acres to private sector to come in and invest. The 1 million acre target was not entirely about Galana. We're also developing other parts of the country with huge potential in Turkana and the Katilu irrigation.
That's a revelation of what it was.
Yes,
the million acres was there.
Yes, but what
let me just stop you there for a minute. Your explanation sounds reasonable. Where does this leave Parliament's threat to suspend the project and, you know, get some of the people involved investigated for corruption?
Yes, what happened was that when Parliament threatened to suspend, we appeared before Parliament with a revised roadmap, and when I presented it before the Committee for Agriculture, they were pleased by what they saw, because we had actually addressed the concerns of many Kenyans and many leaders, including the parliamentarians. We also made a trip with them to the farm, and they saw what we have done. The initial crop of 500 acres, we had run 13 varieties of different maize types, and some yielded very low, as low as 10 bags per acre, but there are varieties that yielded as high as 39 bags per acre. So we did a second run. This one, we have now picked the top 6. Next week we're going back to Galana to do the harvesting, and we believe we should see better results than last time. So the Committee of Parliament, after visiting, endorsed this proposal, and we will be going back with them now to see the second harvest. After that, we want to open up the entire 10,000 acres, and by July we want to have completed the model farm. By September, we have already advertised an expression of interest for investors to now come in.
So no one is going to be investigated for corruption?
Not really. And what we did,
even though they claim that there was a feasibility study that was inflated by 200 million shillings?
We have addressed all the concerns, and really what we have said is that probably we needed to rethink the whole model. And that we have done. We have put a new roadmap before them, and it is what we are going by now, not the previous one.
So what is Israel doing with us?
Israel is actually giving us the technology. We have the Green Arava company that is executing the contract. Apart from that, they are also giving us a grant of 3 billion shillings. So that as we increase acreage and irrigation, we are also able to develop local capacity. Because from our training institute in Kewi, in July when I came in, we only had 40 irrigation engineers graduating. Now, if you're doing 1 million acres and you're only able to have 40 engineers, really you cannot have the capacity. So what they did, they offered us a training program, a grant of 3 billion, and we started with 100 students going to Israel. When we went with the president, with the first batch, the Prime Minister said now that we have improved relations with Israel, they are doubling that number. So we will, instead of 100, we will be taking 200 per year for training in Israel. Apart from this, Israel is also going to invest in a training institute here, just for agriculture. So we're expecting some goodies when the Prime Minister comes in July, and we will see more money going towards training. both locally and internationally. So that's one thing that we're doing. Apart from Galana, Israel is also offering us technical support in Turkana. We have set up the groundwater study center. With the expertise that Israel has, we want to expand exploration beyond Turkana, Marsabit and Samburu. Those are the only areas where we've already discovered groundwater in Turkana. But with the new center now, with the backing of the Israeli expertise, we can actually look at the whole country and develop the groundwater resource. So apart from dams, Mutegi, this is one area where the future lies. We are also looking at desalination. Apart from Toyota Tsusho and the American company, we have Israeli companies that are coming in to look at desalination at the cost. So we want to use all this, combine the transfer of technology and the good relations we built to boost our national food security.
What about the investors? In today's paper, there's an Arab sheikh who was given 100,000 acres with some locals.
Yes.
When you talk about investors, are you talking about, like there was a time back when they were saying some Kuwaiti people are getting huge chunks of land to grow their own maize and their own food? Is that what we're calling investment?
Yes, we have investors who want to come in and invest, who will bring in their resources, who will develop and grow food.
For who?
And I mean for Kenyans and for exports. But we are not just looking at international investors. We are also trying to encourage local investors. And we've been engaging private sector in Kenya to invest more in the water and irrigation sector. And there's huge interest. Even locally, we're encouraging people in Tana River and Kilifi counties, where the model farm is, to also invest, to also use the technology we have brought to the region to develop a new breadbasket for Kenya. So we are happy with the progress so far and the response.
You were mentioning some other irrigation projects. Maybe you talk about those a bit.
Yes, we're looking at Turkana. We have Katilu in Turkana. In Mandera, we have the Daua Basin. It has huge potential there. We are also looking at Pokot County, the Weiwei. We're expanding it. We are also looking at expanding our traditional irrigation schemes, where we are building Thiba Dam. Once Thiba Dam is done, we are going to expand Mwea by over 20,000 acres. We are also looking at West Kano and Ahero. We have an expansion program there. We are expanding Bunyala. We have Rwambua, Mudemi and Sisenyi, new schemes in Busia County that we are expanding. Busia has a huge potential of almost 40,000 acres. So we want to expand that. And once we do, we do not have to import rice from Pakistan. We can grow enough rice from Busia, from Kisumu County, and from Ahero. We do not need to import.
Okay, here's what some of our viewers, actually most of our viewers have questions. But one, Daniel, let's start with him. Thank you, CS, for the good work you did in Nakuru County yesterday. Please spread it to other parts of the county. And then you have Mboma, who asks, why should we buy water in Nairobi at this age and time over 50 years of independence? You've talked about Kitengela, but Joyce says there is no piped water and no sewage system. The population is growing daily. Naivasha also complaining. The situation here is wanting. There's no water supply for clean water. People consume borehole water, which has a lot of fluoride, which is harmful for human consumption, especially to our children. What's your ministry doing about this? That's Peter.
Look, I must say the Naivasha situation really touched me yesterday. We celebrated the World Water Day at Mirere Primary in Naivasha. And when the school children were singing and welcoming us, one thing I noticed was the problem of brown teeth. And I was told, sadly, that even young girls getting married in that area is a problem because of that. Young people joining our military is a problem because once they go for recruitment, they see brown teeth, it means even your bones are not strong enough. So this part of Kenya has lost great opportunities in our military, and it is a problem that can be resolved. What we did through Warma, we donated tanks for water harvesting. We're encouraging the people in this region to harvest rainwater that does not have the high fluoride content. The other thing is that those that have developed boreholes, we have machines through Rift Valley Water Service Board We donated a machine for this school, and we are able to actually take out the fluoride content to acceptable levels. It should not be more than 1.5, I think, milligrams. But the water in Naivasha is at about 10 or 11 milligrams. So it is actually not fit for human consumption. It's not good for their health. Yet it is their constitutional right to have not just clean water, but safe drinking water. So we are partnering with the county government, and I was very pleased that Governor Mbugua said he was going to dedicate part of his budget towards partnering with us, and the Netherlands government also pledged to donate something towards that. But the ultimate and long-term solution, we proposed in Nakuru, we are going back in June with the president to launch Itare Dam. Itare Dam has a capacity of supplying over 800,000 people in Nakuru, both Nakuru West and East, as well as Rongai. We will also serve Molo, and once we serve that western part, the eastern part, including Mai Mahiu, including Naivasha and Gilgil, we want to bring in fresh water from the Aberdare forest, from Nyandarua, and we have a partnership between Governor Waithaka and Governor Mbugua, with the national government coming in. We'll bring water from Pesi Dam. We're developing a dam called Pesi in Nyandarua. We're also developing Malewa Dam with the World Bank, and Kinja Dam. These three dams will be enough to serve both Nyandarua and the upper side of Nakuru. So we want to tell the people of Naivasha, just as I assured them yesterday during World Water Day, that the problem of brown teeth, the problem of the children not joining the military, will be a thing of the past once we brought in fresh water from the Aberdares.
Okay. Still on dams, Juliet from Bere South, why do you want to build more dams here while we already have 7 dams that can offer piped water from Bere residents?
I think what we have that is existing is not sufficient. The population is growing. The rivers cannot be abstracted further than they have been abstracted. That is why there's a need, and there's a study that has been carried out that has shown exactly where we could store this water. And the dams that we are proposing are actually going to resolve the water problem, not just in Meru, in Tharaka Nithi, as well as Embu. There are about 9 dams we have proposed, including Mara Dam in Tharaka Nithi. Once we do that, we are looking at 2030 water sufficient region, Mount Kenya East region. And we're doing this in the other regions as well, including Turkana. We have Lowat Dam that we want to develop there. What
about Wajir East? There's a complaint from Ashkolu who says there's a water shortage, our wells have gone empty, please intervene and rescue us from these challenges, since our county government has failed to secure us from these.
We are actually, through the Water Service Trust Fund, we have about 8 billion shillings that we have received, and a further 1.5 billion that we received from Denmark just the other day. And we are looking at 8 counties in northern Kenya. We are looking at Wajir, we're looking at Mandera, we're looking at Marsabit, Isiolo, Turkana, and and Garissa as well. Once we cover that whole area, some of the concerns will be addressed. So I want to assure them that help is on the way. The situation has been quite bad in Garissa. You might have read about Balambala crisis. We have worked to resolve that. There was a serious complaint from Fafi, and Honorable Duale was just informing me yesterday. And we are working with the county governments in the north to ensure that we address these concerns. Okay.
We have to take a break now. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Do keep sending us your thoughts, questions and experiences around accessing clean, safe water, so that we can direct them to today's guest, the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamalwa.